an email from me. It's going to have 2 bits of information in it. One of them is the PCC assessment test. This is version 2. I've gone through. I've culled the questions. Some have been removed because they were dumb. Others have been rewarded because they may not have been very dumb, but I was dumb in wording them. So we're 3 questions shorter now. I think we're at 47 instead of 50, and I reworded about 5.
Okay. So we'll be getting that test here. Like, can we get started on that?
You will be getting that as soon as this call is over. I will be sending an email with all the information in it. The second one is a survey. To me, personally, the survey is more important than the test. You're not going to be able to be officially a senior PCC until you get the test done. But the survey is what determines how this course goes from now on. So it's basically you grading me.
Feedback on the course.
Yes. And first thing that I want to mention on that, it is 100% anonymous. There is no way that I will know who is answering what because I'm not asking for that information.
Okay.
I need you to be 100% honest. You will not hurt my feelings. I promise you that. I mean, you may hurt them a little bit if you say that I did an absolute terrible job, but I won't be able to blame one of you directly. That's where I'm sitting on that. I need that information done by Friday. The same thing with the test. So if you can get both of those done by Friday, and I know the 4 of you that are, or 4, that are on the call that have a PCC that is in training currently, I apologize for that. If for some reason you do need an extension to get that done, send me an email. We'll work something out. But if you do not have a PCC in training, this has to be done by Friday. And they're short. Also remember, do not do anything else while you're taking that test. The survey, you can do whatever else you want to do during it, but do not do anything else while taking the test. It is time. There's a 30-minute time limit on it.
Whew, 30 minutes, huh?
Well, you should be able to do it fine, I think.
Will it still be an open book type test where we can refer back to the
yes, absolutely. Nothing's changed. Use open book because you're going to have all that information available to you when you're training somebody. You're not supposed to know that off the top of your head. You're just supposed to know where to find it. Before we move on and have Ms. Peggy lead us on our wonderful quest through managed care and insurance, what questions do you have for me on any of the issues I just brought up?
Hello, Anthony?
Yeah.
Hi, it's Sarah. How are you? You said it's due by Friday. I am training at PCC today. I was wondering, is there a time frame that it has to be, say,
yeah, just shoot me an email. Like I said, if you're training, send me an email. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
If you need more time, we can do it that way. If you're not training, it needs to be done by Friday.
Okay. But no specific time on that, correct?
Like
we will determine that in an email on how long you may have after Friday.
Oh, okay.
I don't know right now. I can't give you an answer. We'll see how well you can butter me up.
No, I'm wondering if it has to be done. I could do it Friday before then, but I'm wondering, is there a specific time by Friday, like by 5 p.m.? By
end of day. End of day Friday.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't understand your question. All right. So I did get a good collection of questions from everybody. Thank you so much for putting them in. We're going to try and get to as many of them as possible. We are even going to have a member of the senior PCCs present on one of the questions, Ms. Sammy Sanford. Thank you very much, Sammy. And why don't we dive in? I'm going to let Peggy do some of the talking, but this is going to run the same way that we've normally done it. So there's going to be a question that's going to be posed on the PowerPoint, and I want you to talk to it the same way that we've been talking to the scenarios and the other questions that we've done for the past 5 weeks, okay?
Yes,
All right.
All right.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. Hold on, my PowerPoint, of course, is hanging just a second. Wouldn't you know? Holy cow, it really is.
See you thinking.
Yeah, it is.
It's about that time of day when this happens. Yeah, it'll turn.
We've had network problems all day.
Here we go.
Yay. Okay, so one of the questions that came up is, what is the status of contracting with Medicaid in Texas? And I'd like to open that up with everybody. Does anybody have the latest and greatest on that, or have some advice to share?
I would have to guess it's being worked on.
Okay. Yes, and I have some additional answer for you because I did corner the managed care team and asked them for their response. So one of the payers for Texas Medicaid is United Healthcare Community Plan. United Healthcare has a contractual arrangement with Epic, which is one of our network contracts. So if one of your patients comes in with Medicaid Community Plan and they've been referred from Epic, you're good. Otherwise, you can also ask them if they have the UHC Community Plan and if they have Epic Network for their hearing benefits. So if there are other payers, those, you're right, those are absolutely being worked on. Currently, we do not have a contract anywhere else. It's my understanding that these are really pretty tenuous sometimes, and so it takes a while to really work through these.
Does that work for any other state, like Illinois?
In Florida? Because we're having a really hard time. I could give you a couple of really good examples for Florida that we're stuck with right now with this particular plan.
You know, every state is different, and I did not dig down into all the Medicaid specifics on each of those, but I certainly will make myself a note to do so. So Illinois and Florida. Anyone else?
Wisconsin.
Okay.
The Florida one that we're having problems with is United Healthcare. The community plan is actually giving Epic the billing codes, and when Epic is submitted it for approval for us to get our purchase order in order to place the order, you know, Epic will send us our PO. We're not getting it. It's taken 2 to 4 weeks to get it because United Healthcare community plan is actually denying it because of incorrect codes. And they're the ones that gave Epic the codes to bill with, so we got letters of denial, and it's taken 2 to 4 weeks to get authorizations from the community plan, and the patients are calling, and, you know, of course, you need your referrals and those 5 criteria that go along with it, and sending everything over. We're still having a hard time where there's a lot of sales that are just hanging out there because United Healthcare is not getting back to Epic, and it even got to the point where the last person I talked to said their administrator at Epic would actually be contacting the administrator of United Healthcare because it's been such a continuing problem, if that helps at all.
So here's what I think we should do. I think we should attack this from both sides. Let me bring that up to the managed care team. If you will also escalate that up the food chain to your RD, maybe we can, you know, get a quicker answer. We'll have to see. At my guess, just from what you're saying, it sounds like it's United Healthcare. It's not us.
It is, exactly. It's United Healthcare that's the problem. It's not Epic or Connect.
Yeah.
I think that this is Gracie in Palm Coast, Florida. I know I have several that are hanging in the slots right now with the United Healthcare Community Plan and Epic, and I think a lot of it is just Epic still ironing out the wrinkles out of the sheets, so to speak, with processing the Medicaid patients through UHC.
Ah.
Could you also add Colorado to your states you're looking at?
Yep, you got it. Illinois, Florida, Wisconsin, Colorado, last call. Okay. It's not like this is the one and only. I'm sorry? In Virginia. Okay. Thank you. You got it. Okay, the next question came up. What managed care insurance companies are we a network for in Colorado and Wyoming? Team on the phone?
And the best way of looking at this is where can you find that information, not necessarily who is it.
On
Where
the
can you find
website. On the website.
Where at which website and where at on the website?
And into the departments under managed care, and you find that's the map of the United States, and click here.
I don't know. Is it obvious enough?
There it be.
All right, and do you know how to, so that'll bring up that Excel spreadsheet. Do you know how to go about doing the filtering in order to pull up your state and the national regions to figure out what information you need?
No.
Yes.
You do
Yes.
a sorting it. You pull down the service area menu. You hit the arrow, and then you can choose which state you want to look at.
So one other little helpful hint here. It's going to automatically include everyone. So if you click on that select all to remove all of the states, then you can go in and select just what you want. So do your states, but also pick up the national contracts, the one that says national, the national accepts Arkansas, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Utah. Make sure you get those because those are listed for contracts that are global, global meaning U.S. for us.
Okay, so my question is, if we're contracted with United Healthcare, not all United Healthcare is Epic. So there are several different addresses or, companies within United Healthcare. How do we get down to the really specific, yes, we're in network with you on that United Healthcare at this particular address?
I get sick just fine regularly.
I think if it's in network with United Healthcare, you have to go through Epic. If they're a United Healthcare patient that has in-network and out-of-network benefits, the out-of-network benefits is where you would be needing the mailing address for the claim to make sure you have the right one. But really, your best bet is always let Epic run the United Healthcare patient first. If Epic comes back and tells you they don't have anything, then really that patient's up for grabs for the HCP, for us to grab.
On a private pay.
Yeah, Gracie, did you guys get the email today in Region 103 about changing an Epic to a brick and mortar?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Then we can flip them. Then we use, price match guarantee and the other tools that are out there. Then we flip that patient.
Mm-hmm. To a regular sale and not a network.
Yeah, to private pay.
And that's okay to do, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, as long as that network patient isn't coming to you because they were referred by the network. If they show up with that referral, we have to honor that.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
And you definitely want to check to make sure that they're in net. You want to check their coverage because if they're in network, you want the patient to get the best, coverage that they're going to get with their insurance first as well.
Exactly.
Okay, so one other little point in here. Does everybody know where to find any updates? Because it's the first of the year and there's some new contracts that are coming up to be effective right here.
Mm-hmm.
So
I also look at the action list first thing.
That's what I was going to say, the action list,
Perfect.
number one.
You guys rock. Yep, that's exactly where it is. So the Cigna of California contracts effective 1/15, and then the Health Partners of California is effective 1/1. So cool. Groovy. That was easy. Any other additional discussion on that? Okay. One other thing, so when you're looking at the list to determine if you're contracted, there's either a contract with Connect Hearing as a whole, by the individual location, or the HCP. If there are questions whether your HCP has a contract with that specific carrier, send it to credentialing@connecthearing.com and they'll let you know. Okay. Next question, will there be training on billing patients? So I don't know who brought this forward or if anybody wants to fess up to it. Not negative. Can anybody expound on this because I want to make sure that I read the question correctly.
I think it's asking when are we going to have official training on that? I know my region did a training session already. on a conference call. So I'm not sure if that's happening with all regions.
And are you talking about putting the invoices in cycle?
Yep, how to put the invoices in cycle and what is the proper way of billing the amounts and what CBO's responsibilities are and what we are supposed to be doing as far as also quoting patients. So we properly quote to the patients.
Awesome. So yes, Mitch has asked all of the RDs to be responsible for pushing that information down to you folks. So there's a Revenue Cycle 101 and 102. Revenue Cycle 103 is still in the works. There will be managed care training on our contracts, and then as well there'll be an additional training called Rules of the Regional Road that deals specifically with the contracts in your area.
Okay, awesome.
So everybody should be getting that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, how do we calculate the patient out-of-pocket amounts on the following scenario? And Sammy, I'm going to let you walk through this. I did make it match my format on this, so it looks a little different.
Okay. So one thing that we had come up was this guy's benefit was a maximum benefit of 50% of the allowed amount up to $5,000 for both years every 2 years. 2 years. They have a 50% coinsurance, $1,000 deductible, which has been met, and the out-of-pocket has been met. So he was getting Q90s. List price is $10,400. What would be the patient's out-of-pocket? So Peggy helped me with this one, and she had me look at the managed care list, and his insurance is not listed on here, so he's considered an out-of-network patient. The benefit check did not state that we were out-of-network, so this is the way that we can double-check that. So retail price, $10,400. Remaining deductible had been met. The estimated insurance was up to $5,000. So patient response, $5,400. She, at the time of service, we are supposed to charge 30% of the retail price. So he would have had to pay $3,120 up front.
I get it, okay.
Perfect. Awesome. Are there any questions about this?
Yeah, grill Sammy. It's her turn now.
Yeah.
Thanks. Great job. Great job.
Fantastic job.
Does this scenario take into account allowed amount?
Sammy, do you want to answer that?
That's a tough one.
Yes. It's
try the other yes, the no side. You're right. Gosh. So the reason there is not an allowed amount is because if this is an out-of-network benefit, that means we don't hold a contract with that carrier. So she identified the payer as Moda Health, which is first choice, and they weren't on the list as a contracted carrier. So that's why she followed the out-of-network benefit workflow.
So if we were in network, would that $5,000 be the same?
Absolutely. And I knew somebody would ask that. So I took the same scenario and how it would change based upon if we were actually contracted. Does anybody want to walk through this? I mean, I know this stuff. Does anybody want to walk us through the scenario and the thought process? I know you guys are all doing this on the fly. Site, go for it.
Okay, this is Susan. The price is $10,400. The allowed amount, retail price times 0.26. Okay, so they took the $5,200 times the 0.6, and you got the $6,240. And then 50% of that, up to $5,000, would be the $6,240 times the 50%, which gives half of the $6,240, $3,120. and that's what you want to collect at the time of payment.
So,
and then the difference is written off. Okay, my question is, when a patient has, they have $2,500 in benefits, and they want to buy a hearing aid that's $2,500. They don't want to be anything out of pocket. So how can we fit that into this scenario? Like the $5,000 on the other one, the out-of-network came out pretty clear. But this one, if I had the $2,500, say, in benefits, just for example, I would want that to come out of my $3,120 and not off of the $10,400.
The only problem, yes, it does. The only problem is those aren't our rules to determine.
We have to file retail. We must file retail price with the insurance carrier, and then whatever the patient's benefit. So if it was 100% up to $5,000, then the $5,000 would be the full payment, and anything between the retail price and that $5,000 would be our contractual write-off. It would be Connect Hearing's contractual write-off because we hold a contract with that insurance company. Okay. Unless the allowed amount that we have a contract with that carrier is different than that $5,000. So you really can't manipulate it to the point where the patient is totally out of pocket, or not out of pocket any amount. That's what they sometimes will ask us. I want to get something that I have, X amount of dollars in benefits, and they want it to work out that way, and we were told we can write off the difference on the back end. Even though we're charging $10,400 and you have $2,500 in benefits and your hearing aid is $36, you'll only be, $1,200 out of pocket for us because your insurance will pay the $25. But, we agreed on $36, so you pay us the $12, and we write off the difference between the $10,400 and the $36. The only person that can, yes, it does make sense. Okay. The only person that can make that call is the RD. Okay, that's usually what we do. We pick up the phone and ask them, is it okay to go to this price? But even though we're filing $10,400. Correct. We still have to submit that $10,400 to the insurance carrier. And if they, I'll tell you, if it's an insurance carrier that is as tight as like Medicare is, and they find out we're not billing the patient our amount, they could get rather angry with us. But I think we're small potatoes enough that nobody will really bother us. Yeah, because they don't see the actual written, well, we type our purchase agreements, but, that's where it shows the amount, like $10,400, and then the write-off, and then amount due. That we put RD approved amount, so they know that's what they're going to be paying right there, is what's on the purchase agreement. Just so you know, you cannot put that on the invoice. No, if you put a discount on the invoice, the claims team will have to remove it. Yeah, no, on the actual invoice. You guys have that idea? Nope, not doing that. But on our purchase agreement, that's where we show, because the insurance company doesn't see the purchase agreement, we show the patient, even though it says $10,400, we're charging you $4,000, and we write off the difference once we file it with the insurance company. So basically, they're trusting my HCP. Like, yeah, we will write off that amount when it comes in. You are only responsible for this that shows on the purchase agreement. Even though we're filing $10,400, we're only charging you $36. So let me play devil's advocate with you. Okay. Step out of your patient advocate role and put yourself in a businessman role. As the HCP? That's money, that's revenue. No, if this were your business, that you're writing off revenue that could maybe cover somebody's salary or could be help paying for your overhead or things like that. So, yes, it's the RD's call. Do you hear what I'm saying, though? Yeah. We are still a business, a for-profit business. But just for example, like say if it was $10,400 and their benefits were $2,500, they're still going to owe us $7,900 at the end. Yeah, if it's a non-contracted insurance, yeah, you're probably right. And when that bill came through, we had an actual example of that. We filed the $10,400. She had $2,500. She got a bill for almost, it was $7,900, and she almost had heart failure. I'll bet.
So are we supposed to let the patient just walk if it's the $2,500? We get that quite a bit. And we've lost 2 patients over it because what she was just saying is the same thing. Is they want a $2,500 benefit, and they know, because somebody else came here and got hearing aids for $5,000. Why are they being charged double?
$10,000.
Their benefit is $2,500, and so they walked and they went somewhere else who took it.
And that's what we do here. We charge $10,400 on the invoice, but on the purchase agreement, we write $3,600. And put RD approved amount, and we promise the patient, they're basically trusting my HCP, we are not going to bill you for the difference between the 36 and the 10.4, but we're required by law to file the 10.4. And then you only have to pay us 36, but you have $2,500 in benefits, so what we're going to collect from you today is the $1,200. Then it all makes sense to them, but they're still trusting us. The bottom line is they're still trusting us not to bill the difference between what they've paid and the $10,400. That's a lot to ask of somebody coming in as a patient. I thought you were going to put me in the devil advocate role of the patient. Like I'm trusting my HCP, like, yeah, you will file 10.4, but I only have to pay you $1,200, and my insurance will pick up the rest, right? Yes. That's how we.
All right, so we can kind of make this real easy. Always default to the RD. Always. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how things have played out for customer A, or patient A, sorry, as opposed to patient B. Always default to the RD. Because ultimately it's coming down on them. Regardless of how much money is getting moved or how many units are getting moved, it comes down to the RD that's going to actually have to answer to that. So if you decide to go through and process something that the RD might not have been totally square on or known what was going on, it's going to fall back on them. And then it's one of those poo-poo rolls downhill type things, and we want to avoid that as much as possible.
Oh, it's always a check-in with the RD for the
always,
price, sure.
always check with the RD.
But we
and if you get a PCC that you're training, and they contact you and say, what am I supposed to do? Call your RD.
Call your RD.
Always,
the PCCs all, I'm sorry, the HCPs all know what the prices of the hearing aids are going to be, whether it's insurance or not insurance. We're still going to be charging the patient the same thing, the bottom line part anyways. Not what we're filing with the insurance, but Mr. and Mrs. Smith can come in and pay us cash for $5,200, and then, Mr. and Mrs. Jones can come in with this insurance, $2,500, but they're still only going to pay us $5,000, and they'll only be out of pocket $2,500. Even though we're filing 10.4, both people are going to get the same deal, right? You don't want to send, you don't want to sell, them full retail price, and their friends, well, I only paid $2,000 per aid for mine, or
exactly. Ultimately, you want everybody on the same page.
Right, on the same pricing.
And ultimately, don't ever forget to put notes about discounting with the RD approval on your cycle patient notes.
Not in cycle. We do it on the purchase agreement.
Yeah, but put the notes in cycle too.
Oh, put the notes in cycle too.
On the patient summary.
Okay.
Okay, so the big thing to take away from this, make sure you contact your RD. Don't just go rogue and fill it out because that's how it's happened on another situation. Every instance that this comes through on, contact the RD. Because if this is ending up to be a major issue, which it sounds like that there are some conflicting differences of opinions that are going on here, operations needs to be able to know that that's happening and to be able to create a much better way of dealing with this, which right now the only thing I can say is contact your RD. That way if something goes wrong, it's their fault.
I knew I didn't want that promotion. Travis? Oh.
See? That's it. Really, really and truly, I'm not saying this to give you a cop-out answer or anything else like that. That is the best advice I can possibly give you in this situation is contact your RD.
That's their job, Anthony, to say yes or no to the price.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then ask them how they want the process to be filed. How do you want me to document this? And then whatever they say, you go, yes, boss. As terrible as that sounds, and if you go, I don't even agree with this doesn't make any sense. Doesn't matter what you think, as terrible as that is, and I hate being callous and saying that. Do what the RD says. That way when it comes back and they go, why did you do it this way? You go, well, that's what RD said.
Yeah.
And then RD goes, Well, yeah, that's what I said. That's not right. And then it's on them. That's their job. Their job is to make sure that that information is given to you based on their approval. Who they get from the RVPs, who they get from senior, however that whole chain goes. But
once you know, too, Anthony, that you've sold, Q90s for, 42 or whatever it is, once or twice, and she said okay, then, the next time it'll be okay, or call her again.
Call her every single time.
Every time, okay.
And so until she says, never call me on this again,
that this is a good price
still
from
call.
here out. Yep, okay.
Because there needs to be that documented approval that says, per Heather Marquis, per Pauline, or per Pascal, every single time, this is what I was told to do. And yeah, they're probably going to get tired of hearing the calls because now they're going to come in. And they're going to be hearing it from 300 PCCs that are out there going, well, what's going on? And then we can fix it from our end. But until we get there, there's not too much we can do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So always, 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 even if you get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in a day, call the RD. Get the documented proof. Make sure it's done the way that he or she tells you to do it, and that's it. And then everybody's covered. Well, at least the important people, at least.
Yep.
Because y'all are the important ones. But I think we can move on from there. So just to confirm, if this situation comes up, what is everybody going to do?
Call our RD.
Excellent.
Every time.
Every time. Just want to make sure that that is explicitly clear. Because if I leave and I hear something about this, there's going to be problems, and I'm going to call every single one of you and yell at you.
I was going to say,
well, no, I don't like yelling. You will get a very nasty email from me going, what happened? I thought everybody said this in unison.
Don't you know how to spell RD?
That's a good one. I got to.
That was a good one.
Okay.
All right, why don't we keep moving on
once again, I knew this was going to be a pretty big discussion. This isn't the first time I've had this discussion, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody is also aware of the price adjustment, where you can take the different price adjustments and what types of people or patients are eligible for those. And has everybody seen this grid straight out of the SOP? Okay, super. Okay, one more scenario. Let's just work through it. Does anybody want to walk us through this? You guys want to listen to me again? Okay, I hear crickets in the background, so you get me. All right, so the hearing aids are covered with a maximum benefit of 80%, the allowed amount up to $400 for both ears every 3 years. Not much of a benefit there. The patient's policy is subject to a 20% co-insurance, $300 deductible, which $45.75 has been met, $27.50 out of pocket, which nothing has been met. So the recommendation was a monaural audio V50. So we're making the assumption that this isn't a contracted insurance with us. So we bill out the $3,600. Based on that grid, we are not eligible to put any price adjustments in there. We put a stake in the ground at 60% to estimate an allowable amount. That's $21.60. We subtract out the remaining deductible for a total of $19.05. The estimated benefit is 80% up to $400. Well, 80% of $19.05 is higher than the $400, so we put in the $400. So we're going to ask the patient to pay us $15.05. Any questions about the thought process? Once again, I hear crickets. That means good. Okay, next question that came up after the benefit check is completed. The form is filled out. Is it scanned and uploaded into the notes section on the patient summary form? Anybody?
That's a no.
Yeah.
No. It should be. It'd be a huge help to CBO if it was all filled out correctly with cycle numbers, dates, time, reference numbers for the call to the insurance company would be a huge help for CBO. with a copy of the insurance cards front and back.
Not all offices have that capability to do that, though.
That's true.
We actually
Does everybody
section where we have the paragraph that all you do is complete the little blanks and put that in the notes section. She's got it there on the right.
Wow, I've never seen this one.
Yeah, we just copy-paste that over into the notes.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. The benefit check.
The
What if your
benefit
office
check.
uses
We can
form
use the second one. What's that second form? I've never seen that.
On the right.
The benefit check form, the one on the left, is the form that is out in the clinic operations manual under benefit check.
We use all the time, but the one on the right is nice.
The one on the right is one that was created by the young lady that was my predecessor. I would be happy to send this to you. I'll send it to Anthony and let him get it out to you so you all have it.
Thank you.
I have a question. This is Lori from Marble Falls, Texas. We were told to continue using the Jones insurance verification form. Is that not correct?
No, that is absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a couple of different processes going on based upon the location of the clinic and what your processes were when you joined the Connect hearing. So, no, please do not change what you're doing.
Okay. But I would still like a copy of the one on the right.
Yeah, me too.
Can we get that added?
Can't have it.
That would be nice.
Did you say can't have it, Anthony?
I did. You're not allowed.
Ignore him.
I'll send it out after the meeting. I'll actually include that. Yeah, I'll include it with the whatchamacallit, the link to the survey and the test. So you'll have all of it together in a nice little package.
Awesome.
Can this be added to our SOPs?
Maybe. I'd have to talk to Sarah about that one.
Okay.
And on the benefit check form, there's really not enough room to write the subscriber ID, and there should be a place for the group number too. Is there a way to make that top block a little bit bigger for the the patient demographics, the subscriber ID, and add a field for group number?
I will ask the creator of the form.
Yeah, I'm really good at forms, and I've been writing it down where it says insurance plan or insurance and plan name. I'll write United Healthcare there, and then I'll write the number out there because it's just got a little bit more room, and then the second line for the group number.
Okay. I will bring that up. There's a question about if we currently submit your Oracle, do we have to do it that way? Keep doing your Oracle the way you have been because that interface is over. So, any last comments?
I got a question on one of the questions.
Yes.
And I don't know if you have this set up to go or not, but down towards the bottom of the form, it asks, is a medical group at risk? I have no clue what I'm asking when I'm asking the other person on the end of the line, and 90% of the time, the other person on the end of the line has no clue what I'm asking either.
We actually, that's one of the questions. I'll bet you submitted that, and I have a description on there for you as well as a little bit more information. So hold your breath for a couple slides, would you?
Okay.
Awesome.
Awesome. Good. Okay.
Hey, Anthony, real quickly.
Yeah, what's up?
This is Jessica. I've missed 80% of this call. We're just really busy over here in our office.
Don't worry, it's being recorded.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I took care of you, don't worry.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Same thing for you, Eric.
Okay, so moving on, in my Connect into the Managed Care, there's some lunch and learn recordings out there and some slide decks. They show a different calculation by the carrier versus what we're telling you to do now. Those are actually going to be removed. We are all moving forward to one standard formula, and that's making an estimated calculation on an allowed amount of 60%. Okay?
Okay.
How do we know if we're contracted with Medicare, Medicaid? Anybody? Bueller?
Go to the managed care. under departments and look it up on the Excel spreadsheet.
Amen, sister. Okay, here's our benefits check and medical group. So what is a medical group at risk? So some insurance carriers will have a medical group identified with the sole intention of having that group be responsible for coordinating medical necessity and authorizations. So this is more prevalent in California than just about anywhere. So if you do find you have a medical group, here's the other thing you need to know is many times those medical groups or that entity that manages authorizations will have a list of preferred vendors specifically for hearing, and they do it with other subspecialties as well. But what happens is we may or may not be identified as one of their preferred vendors, and from what the managed care team told me, we really are, if we are, we're on one or two. So we may not have the ability to provide services to that particular patient and have an authorization and have their insurance pay. Does that help?
Well, it helps in that you said it was mostly in California. It's not all the way over here in Illinois.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh, God, we don't have to deal with that in Wisconsin.
Yeah, we don't. You know, the only medical groups I've seen are where they are medical groups identified for primary care here in Illinois. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, just means I haven't run across them. But this is really predominantly a California and some Texas, from my understanding. So if it's not you, you might just go, whew, and say thank you. Anybody from California want to weigh in on this? Nope, California bailed. All right. The Jones office in Texas bills under a group of providers. Will that be changing? When I talked to the managed care team about this, they asked if I would get some additional information. So whomever brought this question up, would you either send me an email or send it to Anthony, and we will get you an answer on this?
Will do.
Thank you. Okay, will the billing center be receiving more training as they keep making errors? And I'm going to ask for more information on this as well. Billing center, who's the billing center? Are you talking about the CBO?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me what kind of errors you're seeing that brought this question up in the first place.
I, here in Wisconsin, we've had multiple, and I think me and you may have talked about this, but where CBO is not taking the correct, either they're taking a write-off that should have been a patient's deductible, or they're not taking the discount at all, and that amount is still out there showing as owed by patient. I have 4 very, very outstanding ones now from 2014 that I've repeatedly sent tickets for, and they're still not being taken care of. And I understand that there's a training process, and they're having to catch up on some of this stuff. But I guess I want to know that my patients are not getting a statement for that amount. So that's the main problem we have found here.
So let me ask you a couple of questions. When you are concerned that the amount was not taken correctly, did that patient bring an EOB into you?
No, that amount was, I have 4 of them, and I don't have the information in front of me, but that's the problem, is that CBO is not responding. I myself know how to read an EOB. I've done it for 14 years, so I know what is a write-off and what's not. And
Sure.
The one with the deductible, the patient did bring it in. And the CBO corrected that one. And there's going to be errors, and I get it, but some of these were getting no responses from CBO, and that's it's getting quite frustrating, and it's really quite unprofessional, I feel, not to at least respond and say, okay, hey, we're working on it.
And I can't say anything specific to those unless you give me specific examples, which if you would like to send those to me, or have you sent those to me before?
I have sent those to you, and the 4 that I'm speaking of is that the quote sheet and the estimate given to patient, 2 of them, I believe the estimate that was given to patient was a certain amount, and those 2 particular ones we feel that that is what was given to patient, that's what patient was advised of, and that amount should be written off. We have sent it to our RD as well, and if they're still, it's just they keep slipping through the cracks somehow, and I'm talking like from July of last year.
So let me tell you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So it's been an ongoing problem, and I know now we have the proper training of how amounts should be quoted, so we're doing a better job, and that was, thanks to your training with our group a few weeks ago. But prior to that, we didn't have any guidance, not a whole lot of guidance of what we were supposed to be doing. So we feel that these patients that were quoted to us to the best of our ability should not be held responsible for those amounts.
So let me tell you what happens on this side, just so that you know what it looks like here.
Okay.
So we're growing and learning and developing and establishing rules and protocols and SOPs just like for operations.
Mm-hmm.
There is no systematic way for us to know which accounts should be written off. Even if you put notes in cycle, we don't go out and run a report on a free text field.
Sure.
So I don't know specifically. I mean, if I responded to you on those, because I've responded to quite a few people on those, it takes a while. There is quite a few of those. So I'm asking you to kind of be patient with us. Yes, follow the food chain, especially, run those up to your RD, because the RD it may have to say, can you guys please take care of this, or can you push this to the top? Because as the CBO sets protocols, they work on high dollar figures because that's the biggest bang for our business buck, right? So, we all have to be patient with each other and keep focused on that.
I guess really that boils down to one of the biggest problems. I understand, because we've all have been at some point where we're learning something new, but the attitude that we get from some people in that department is not fun. It's not fun to work with them. And I've worked with some great ones that are like, okay, let's do this, we'll figure it out. But some of the attitudes have not been very team-orientated at all, and it's been more of a, we know what we're doing, so let us be. So that's kind of fed into the frustration level now at this point.
Yeah, I hear you. And it is what it is. We all run across people that are really nice and very helpful, and regardless what's going on, and we run across people that have big slimy green teeth and pull them out when you say, gosh, the sky's blue today.
Right.
And yeah,
well, that's
I know.
Why we're asking is
can't speak to that.
Will they be having more training so they actually do know what they're doing, so that you don't have to worry about it anymore, that the patients aren't being billed correctly?
So I'm going to jump in here for a second. Ideally, the best way that I could say to handle this, again, and this is going to be the summation of this call, talk to your RD. The RD needs to know the issues that are going on between the field and between corporate. And they are really your liaison between the two. If there is an issue that's existing between you and somebody who is not even somebody, just from central billing or from operations because Anthony is a jerk, or you don't like Peggy because she smells funny. I mean, it happens. And if it is a consistent issue that is coming up that is affecting work and affecting patient care, your RD needs to be involved. Okay. Now, the best way to do that, and this is for everybody on here, not just for you, Tony, is get them involved. It's the only way that things are going to change. I mean, right now, yes, you're talking to the 2 trainers that are within the organization. We can start putting that stuff up, but until there's a need that's demonstrated from the field saying, hey, this is a major problem and it needs to be rectified, there's nothing that we can do because we really can't get too much traction. But once there's a documented, legitimate reason, and I'm not saying yours isn't legitimate, don't get me wrong here, but a legitimate need for that training, then we can do something. So get the RD involved. Say, this is the experience that I'm having, and everybody do that. So if Harshal starts talking with Pauline and says, hey, I've been hearing this, how about you? And they say, yeah, we've been hearing that too. Something will happen. Something has to happen.
Right.
So we don't go through Carago when we have a problem with a billing issue? I've heard different things. When you go through Carago first, you submit a ticket, you don't get an answer, then you email billing department, you don't get an answer, then you go to your RD.
The ticket should always be your first stop, and then run it up the RD flagpole. Pardon?
So I've had tickets closed without any type of resolution. They say it's resolved, but I never hear what they've done.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I get it to my RD, and my RD sends it on, and she gets, well, we're looking into it.
Yep.
And then nothing gets resolved. I have something from July as well, but I've already sent it to my RD, and we still haven't resolved yet.
Well,
okay.
Keep on the RD.
Okay. You know, we're coming up on time, and I know I hear the frustration in your voice, and I recognize that, and I appreciate you your candor. But we are out of time. Sorry. So one last. Anybody else have any other questions? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut that off, but we truly are out of time. Okay. I think we're groovy.
All right. I'm going to stop recording right now. Please don't